Straight Shift with the Car Chick, the podcast that's all about cars, buying, selling, fixing, and driving, and sometimes pretty fast if you're the car chick. Now, here she is.
Welcome, everyone, to the Straight Shift. Today, I have a wonderful guest right here in my studio, the amazing Lianne Hofer, the Clutter Consultant. Lianne and I have known each other for years, and this summer, some of you may know, I remodeled my formal dining room into a new home office, better known as the headquarters of the Car Chick Empire. And Lianne was so great in helping me get organized that I thought, hey, I bet she could probably help people organize their cars as well. So welcome, Lianne. Thanks so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. It was so much fun. And you know what's interesting? When we first started that conversation for your office, I was sitting in my car.
Now, as a clutter consultant, be honest, how cluttered is your car? How much crap do you have in your car?
None.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, no, I do have things in my car because I have black trash bags because we keep those for client visits. I have a plastic drawer that holds some of the other things that I use, like zip ties and scissors and markers.
Zip ties are the greatest thing ever invented.
Love a zip tie.
Love zip ties.
Yeah. Do you know you can do all kinds of things with zip ties?
Like half our race car is held together with zip ties, so those things are really very impressive.
Well, duct tape and zip ties.
We have that too. We have 200-mile-an-hour tape. We have 800-mile-an-hour tape. It's great. Well, so many people, their car it's an extension of their office. If they're in sales or they're an entrepreneur like you who goes into people's homes and helps them with organization, or if you're a parent and you're hauling your kids around to the 4 million activities they've got going on, the car has become almost like another room in our house. And it gets just as cluttered.
And sometimes even more so.
Because we're
not in it long enough. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, you're home. Sometimes you can be good about keeping your house clean, which I am not. I'm actually better at keeping my car clean than my house. But
you've named your car. Have you named your house?
Maybe that's the problem. Maybe if I named my house, I might keep it cleaner. Okay, I'm going to have to think about that.
I think your listeners...
The average person today, especially kind of in that 30 to 50 really core working hard age group, they average almost 18,000 miles a year nowadays. That is a lot of time spent in your car. So how can it not accumulate crap?
Absolutely.
If you're in it that much.
And think about it. Our kids are spending more time in the car than they used to. When we were kids, we were hardly ever in the car after school. You came home and you hung out with the neighborhood kids. Today, everyone's scheduled.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to gymnastics and they're going to soccer practice and they've got football practice and singing practice and music practice.
And apparently kids don't walk anywhere anymore.
No, they definitely don't. Just drive by any school in the morning.
Oh, yeah. The lines are crazy. So, yeah. So what are some really easy things? Because we got to keep it easy. Because if it's not easy, people won't do it, especially moms. So what are your tips for keeping the car organized and lack of cluttered? Because I know that moms probably have the most trouble, but I know a lot of dads that do too.
Yeah, no, there are dads too. Just walk through any parking lot and just take a peek in the cars that you pass. Oh my goodness.
Well, my husband, is a master mechanic. And so some of the cars that come into his shop that he has to get in, he feels the need to put on a hazmat suit before he gets into, literally, because the cars have never been cleaned and there's cheese crackers that are embedded into the seats. I mean, some of these get really, it can be a little gross. And I always preach that it's so important to keep your car clean because that's going to help its resale value. But just in terms of keeping it clean so that it's sanitary and healthy and organized for you, for your poor mechanic that has to get in it, how can we make that easy for people?
So, well, there's a couple things you could take. I mean, who doesn't go to the grocery store and get all those plastic bags?
Right. I have the canvas ones that I should bring with me so I don't use the plastic ones, but I never remember to. So I have a million of those plastic bags.
Of course, we all do. So wouldn't it be great to take some of those and either stash them in an empty square tissue box?
Oh,
and now you've got bags that you can grab whenever you need one. That makes it nice and easy. The kids are having snack and they're done with the wrapper. You've got a place to put it and it's easy to take and dump it in the garbage can when you get out of the car.
That's a good idea. And I have actually seen little hacks. I mean, you know me, I got into the whole, IKEA hacking thing doing my office. So now I'm like, what else can I hack? But I've seen them take like a tennis ball tube or a Pringles can and put a little slit in that lid. And then you stuff the bags down in there. And then you just pull them out like you would pull out a tissue. And you can take some double-sided tape and stick it to the inside of the console in the passenger well. And then it's just right there. It's attached to the side of the car. Or use the two-sided silicone tape, which is kind of like those, or use a command strip so it doesn't hurt anything. And now it's, not rolling around on the floor, but it's a part of the car. And now you got trash bags.
And if you're one of those cars, the minivans, that's got 9,000 different cup holders, it can fit in a cup holder.
And I saw the neatest thing. You can I have these little round silicone baking cups that I use sometimes for my cupcakes. You could take a silicone baking cup. That is about the same size as your average car cup holder. Because the cup holder area, it just gets nasty.
It gets gross.
It's so gross. And it's hard to get in there and clean. I know my detail guy gets in there with his little toothbrushes and stuff. But if Q-tips, right. But if you can take one of those silicone baking cups, which you can pick up at the dollar store or at Walmart just for a couple bucks a piece, stick those down in there. They fit perfectly. And now you just have a little, almost like a liner for your cup holder, and you just pull that out, throw it in the dishwasher, put it back in. It'll keep your cup holders from getting all grungy.
Exactly. And baby wipes.
Oh,
Everyone
yeah.
has baby wipes.
I don't have baby wipes, but I don't have kids, so.
Well, and I have a teenager now. Probably the reason why I still have baby wipes is
they're worse than babies.
They are so interesting. So, but even with what I do, we're handling all of these dusty things when we're in someone's home. And sometimes that things are sticky. When we get into the car, even though I wash my hands before I leave, sometimes I get in the car and I want to wash my hands again. You can leave baby wipes in the side pocket in the door.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have a baby wipe when you wash your hands, just while it's still wet, just kind of scoop out the cup holder. It's an easy way to keep it clean.
Oh, that's a good idea. And you can also even kind of run it over the steering wheel, because if you're sharing the car, we get so many germs in the car. It's really scary. I remember the Top Gear guys a number of years ago went into your average used car and sprayed it down with luminol.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, because come on, let's just face it, we sneeze in the car and it gets everywhere. I mean, it's just gross. And so having that baby wipes, that's a great idea. Mm-hmm. Wipe your hands and wipe down some parts of the car, keep some of the germs out.
Learning how to drive when one of us was learning. One of us had really sticky hands.
I'm guessing that one of us is your teenage son you're referring to.
It may have been.
A sticky teenage boy. I can't even imagine.
And when I have to drive his car and I have to go out there, I'm always grabbing something to wipe the steering wheel down and the gear shift, because he's just got sticky hands, and he's a teenage boy.
He's a teenage boy. They're always eating something. So
always. Yeah.
Well, that sounds awesome. Now, I know how parents have so much stuff that you've got to keep in the car to keep the kids entertained while they're running around. These are areas that I don't have a lot of experience in because, I don't have kids. So how can parents kind of keep all their kids' stuff organized in the car so that it's not all over the backseat?
Because it goes everywhere.
It does. And any loose things in your car can be dangerous. They are projectiles if you get into a dangerous situation.
Or if a bottle got stuck underneath the pedal and now all of a sudden you can't hit the brake or you can't change the accelerator.
Water bottles rolling around on the floorboards of the car are extraordinarily dangerous. I mean, even years ago, if you remember that whole Prius scandal with the unanticipated acceleration in the Toyota Prius, my philosophy was it's a Prius. Any amount of acceleration should be unanticipated. But, the problem was actually that the floor mats were cut incorrectly and the floor mats were getting stuck and it was keeping the accelerator open. So, I mean, that's why it's even important to have your floor mats fit properly and not get, cheap ones from Walmart that don't fit your car. But, anything that can roll around and roll underneath any of those pedals is potentially lethal. So how can we keep that from happening?
So there's some really cool things. You can get over-the-door shoe rack.
Oh, a shoe rack.
Ones, and you can tie it to the headrest
Oh, yeah. Hang over the back of your
and
seat.
hanging on the back of the seat. Now the kids have everything right at their fingertips. They can put everything away nice and easily. And if you get the clear ones, they can see everything. If you don't want to see it, get one that's opaque or has fabric so that you can't see.
You can even get it in a color that matches and blends in with the color of your interior. So it's like, it's not purple or whatever.
Exactly. And if you want to go crazy, you can get something. I know some of the companies out there, like I think 31 Gifts actually has something that you can buy that's specifically designed for that.
Oh, yeah. I was just kind of perusing Amazon just to see what they have because, if you want to know if something exists, just go on Amazon and search for it.
Absolutely.
And there's tons of stuff that's specifically made. Some of the car manufacturers even make those things, but you'll pay through the nose for those. Most of these things, especially the hacks,
and with kids,
are so cheap.
Like we said, they don't intend to be filthy creatures, but they are. We love them. And
one of the reasons I don't have them.
I say that with full love. And this way, when that shoe rack gets really dirty and nasty and gross and whatever, you can throw it away because you only spent a few bucks for it.
Yeah, you can probably even get those at the dollar store. I mean, I know IKEA has a bunch of that stuff.
Even at Target, $12 is the most expensive.
For $12, you can keep all that stuff organized and keep it from rolling around. Because even something as small as some crayons, a bag of goldfish crackers, if that gets under the driver's feet when they are trying to drive, it's dangerous. And it makes your car really, really gross.
And so one of the other things that's really cool, some of the cars now have like a vacuum cleaner already in the car.
Oh, the minivans that have the vacuum built into the car. Yeah, you have no idea how popular that is with my parents that we buy minivans for. They're like, I can get the vacuum that's a part of the car? Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And if you can't do it, have a spot in your garage where you have the shop vac easily accessible. So when we haul stuff for our clients, because frequently we'll take like donations and drop them off or something like that. And again, they're covered in leaves because we stacked them next to the car before they went in the car, or they've got pet hair on them. So I'll drive my car into the garage and I've got the shop vac super easy. It's right there. Got a nice long cord on it. Park the car, flip it on, run in, vacuum out the car. It takes minutes.
Well, that just made me think because a lot of vehicles now, especially minivans and the larger SUVs, they have real outlets in the car. So you can plug normal things in, not just the car chargers, but a lot of, you can get
a wall outlet.
Yeah, like a wall outlet. I don't know my electrical terminology. That's, my husband, the electrical guy. But, you can also get adapters for if it has these, what we used to call a cigarette lighter, but now it's the car charger hole that you can stick things into. There's adapters that can convert that to normal house type plugs.
Who was that?
Right? They've had those for years and they're really inexpensive. They don't draw, a huge amount of power. They're very efficient. They don't tend to kill the battery in your car. I was just thinking you could get one of those little hand vacs. And if you don't have the vehicle that has the vacuum, because that is on the top of the line minivan and you end up with like a $50,000 minivan, you could just go get a shot, one of those little hand vacs from Walmart. Yep. It's probably less than $20 and mount it back there and plug it in. And now you just have a little quick vac in there and zoop, 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 clean it up as you go.
Your bucket falls over, it's easy to suck them up.
There you go.
Another alternative would be to get a dog.
Having a dog in the back of the car when you have kids will probably help with that cleanup quite a bit.
Totally. Have you seen that ad where the gentleman has the baby in the high chair and the baby's got food all over his face and then he turns around to get the baby wipe and he turns back around and the dog's looking.
The baby's perfectly.
Well, that'll work.
I grew up with Newfoundlands when I was a kid. And, Newfoundlands are those giant black, nearly 200-pound dogs that are about the same height as your average baby high chair. And yeah, my mom never had to clean up anything when I was a kid. The dog took care of it. I didn't even think about using the dog as a vacuum cleaner in the car, but that would probably work too. Although you might want to use an actual vacuum cleaner.
Well, then the dog's going to leave hair. So that's another whole story.
That's another whole story, keeping the pet hair out of the car too. But again, that's when you can always bring in your detail guy, a couple times a year, 4 times a year, once a quarter and have that car cleaned out. But keeping it organized is going to make it so much easier to keep it clean. You can't keep something clean if it's not organized. And that's something that you really taught me this summer. And I've learned with my office. I have managed to keep my office really clean and organized since I got it together. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some other really cool organizational hacks for your car that can keep you clean, organized, and it will not break the bank. We'll be right back after this. Do you hate car shopping? Do you worry about being taken advantage of or about finding the right car at a fair price? Buying a car can be a frustrating and time-consuming experience. But what if you could get a great deal without having to do a ton of research, without having to haggle, and without the fear of buying a lemon? You can. As your personal car shopper, the Car Chick will help you pick the perfect car based on your unique lifestyle, budget, and personality. She'll handle all of the legwork and negotiating for you. All you have to do is sign the papers and take the keys. It's that easy. To learn how the Car Chick can save you time, money, and hassle on your next car purchase, give us a call at 888-575-2138. That's 888-575-2138. Or visit us on the web at thecarchick.com.
Ah, the Car Chick is back. And this is Straight Shift.
And we are back with the Straight Shift. I am talking today with one of my dear friends, Lianne Hofer, the Clutter Consultant. And we're talking about how to keep your car organized and clean and not looking like the junk drawer in your kitchen, which some cars can end up looking like.
Yeah, but even a junk drawer shouldn't look like a junk drawer.
Yeah, that's another conversation.
Still be neat and tidy. We can, yeah, well.
You can organize anything. That's what you were just so amazing at that. We were talking before, so many people live in their cars now. We spend so much time in them. The average person drives nearly 18,000 miles a year. Whether you're a business person and you're running around making sales, making money, bringing clients with you, because God forbid, if you've got clients in the car, that thing better be clean.
Oh, yeah.
Or if you've got kids in the car, there are just so many opportunities for clutter and gunk to build up in your car. So, one of the things is the back of the car, the trunk of the car, because we tend to kind of throw a bunch of stuff back there. And we're picking up groceries. We're going to Home Depot. We might be transporting things, for work. Like my realtors, have all their signs.
Oh, yeah. It's like the junk room of the house.
It really is.
Yeah.
That's why SUVs and minivans are so popular, because we can carry so much junk back there.
Do you know what I liked about my 2010 CRV?
What was that?
We had a flap in the back and you could hide everything underneath it.
Oh, yeah. The tonneau cover. I call that the hide the crap cover.
Yeah. And it flipped. So half of it would go back and it could still hide underneath. Oh, that was the best thing ever.
And hiding it is a great idea, because also that helps, because if people can see all your crap in the back, what that does is go, ooh, this is a car worth breaking into. So you really don't want
what kind of
to.
goodies could be in there?
Right.
Yeah.
You don't want to encourage, people to break into your car and steal your stuff. So covering it's great, but
it's still there.
It's still there, and it's still disorganized, and it's still a mess. So what are some things that you can use to kind of keep everything, even just like when I go to the grocery store, my biggest problem, because how I drive, right? And so I even have to buckle my purse into the passenger seat of the car to keep it from flying around. And invariably, I will go to Sam's Club. I did this yesterday. I went to Sam's Club, and I loaded up the back of Maggie. You can get a lot of crap in a Mini Cooper. You really can. And so I loaded up all the stuff from Sam's Club back there. And literally, as I'm pulling out of the parking lot, my brain has already forgotten that there is stuff in the back of my car, and I'm back to driving like I normally do. And next thing you know, I go flying onto the freeway. I take a, turn at speed, and I hear, I'm like,
and you're like, oh no.
That's not the word I used, but you get the right sentiment, So even things that, is there something I can put back there? Sometimes I'll bungee cord the stuff together, but a lot of the times I just need something to keep stuff from flying around in my car, because I'm not going to change how I drive.
Okay, enough said. And depending on where you live, the driving capabilities that you have to do to keep up with the flow of traffic, you have to drive like that.
The flow of traffic needs to keep up with me. That's, not really the issue. I just, how I drive. Everybody knows how I drive.
How you drive.
The cops know how I drive. I have the record to prove it. So what are some ways, even normal people driving, groceries can still go flying around the back.
Of course,
how do you
and
keep
kids'
that?
sports gear and all kinds of
Oh,
stuff,
God,
right?
Yeah.
So there's a couple things you can go and, of course, like we've talked about, just do a Google search and take a look. They make all kinds of different containers. You can get them at Target. You can get them at Amazon.
What should they go, like car trunk organization?
Car organization.
Okay. That's
and
easy
they
enough.
pop up super easy. And they make all of these different fabric things. There's fabric things that are lined. And like we were talking about before, they have the ability to keep frozen things colder longer.
Oh yeah, they're insulated, so you can put
Yes.
your hamburger and stuff in your
And
ice
your
cream
milk.
in there on the
So
way
your milk
home.
doesn't curdle in North and South Carolina before you get home from the grocery store.
Because that can happen in July in the 1 mile between your house and the grocery store.
And well, it's
back.
great if you want to eat the ice cream as soon as you get home. That's about it.
Why would you not eat the ice cream as soon as you get home?
Or just eat it on the way home.
There you go.
So yeah.
So they have them, they're lined, they're insulated.
Yes, and some of them have like netting on the side, so you can put some of those smaller things on the side so that they're not rolling all over the place.
Yeah, because the little cargo net that came with my car that you can buy from the dealer with your car,
That probably costs a lot of
one,
money.
they're overpriced,
Yes.
but I don't find that it holds anything because it's just kind of a cargo net back there. It doesn't keep everything organized. It's just basically a little net bag that I can put stuff in. It still slides back and forth in there.
Exactly. No, they're not
That's
attached
useless.
real well. Mm-mm. And you can, if you do use a bungee cord or something like that, again, you can hook that to the back of the headrest. Some of the car seat places have little hooks that you can hook bungee cords to. So you can do a bungee cord through the handles of the plastic bags.
I do that.
Which does help, but
They
can still roll and slide.
It's not sufficient for my driving style. Let's just put it that way. It's better than nothing, but it's still not quite. I think I need something a little more
going right now.
Come to the grocery store with me sometime.
Okay.
You'll see.
I have to go tomorrow. So, but yeah, having one of those organizers helps. And some of them are even designed for the size of paper bags. So you can put your paper bags and it'll hold your paper bags filled with groceries.
Oh, great. So if you use the paper bags as opposed to the plastic ones.
Exactly.
Which seem to be coming back into fashion.
Yes. Or if you're using the recyclable ones that you buy, the
little canvas ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Some of those will hold them. And then if you don't want to spend any money on those, you can use a milk crate.
Oh, yeah.
Or just a plastic container like we store our Christmas ornaments in, or the kids' clothes that don't fit anymore, or your photographs, or
even just the little cardboard boxes, because I get plenty of those from Amazon.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's because those are just simple things that you don't necessarily even think of that you could secure to the back of the car. And now you've got your own little cargo holders based on what you put in your car on a regular basis, because everybody has different stuff that they need to transport.
Absolutely.
So, I don't grocery shop a lot because I don't cook. So, I usually don't have the biggest thing I put in my car is like my racing gear to go to the track. That all fits down very snugly because there's so much of it, in the back of Maggie, but having a system that works for you.
And if you don't have a lot of things to fill in the back so that it's all holding itself, that's when you need to have some sort of a container, a box or a container of some sort.
Right. So that it's not sliding around.
Exactly.
Yeah. The benefits of the Mini is there's not a lot of space back there. When you put the seats down, the Mini is basically a square. So you have good cargo space. But when I'll pull the seats up specifically to limit that space to keep everything from sliding around. Then it only shifts from side to side, not front to back. So.
Exactly. So I'll never forget the time that I had gone out to visit a girlfriend and I had one of those plastic bags and it fell and I heard it fall as I was driving, which is not the same way you drive by any stretch.
It can still happen.
But it fell, which means the rest of us can have that happen. And I discovered the cream that I had bought like 3 days later underneath my driver's seat. And I was crushed.
Oh, I bet you smelled it if it would have been 3 days under there.
Yeah, it didn't smell so good.
Ooh.
So, yeah. Newspaper really helps with that.
Newspaper?
You can use newspaper to absorb the odor.
Really? So you just wad it up and stick it under there?
Stick it on top of where it is. I did a little coating of baking soda, wadded up some newspaper.
Really?
Cleaned it really well, but of course being milk you can only clean so much out of it. Yep. And then when it was done, just a couple spritzes of some essential oil. Done.
Boom. Little Febreze if you don't have essential oils.
There you go.
I did not know that newspaper was absorbent.
Odor. Yep.
Wow.
You can even put it in your sneakers.
I am going to try that.
So you've been driving around the track all day.
Oh, you do not even want to know how my helmet
in it.
My helmet, because we're in the race car 3 to 4 hours
Mhm.
and sweating like crazy, of course. And when you take your helmet off, that all the padding in there and everything, oh,
It's soaked.
it's like opening up the hockey bag, of a teenage boy. So newspaper.
Yep.
Wow, I never knew that.
That's what we used when my son played football.
That is like the best tip of the year that I have heard.
Woo!
That's fantastic, because now I have something to do with the newspapers too.
Yes.
Wow, that's going in my racing bag.
So, yeah, and absolutely. All those free papers that they drop off for you.
Yeah.
There you go.
I love it. Well, that's kind of like some of the normal everyday stuff that we need to keep organized and clean in our cars. But I know for myself, and when I go on road trips, it's usually just me because I'm road tripping to Alabama, to the racetrack down there, or, to Atlanta for racing or for a speaking engagement. And just by myself on a road trip, I can really mess up my car. And I can't even imagine what, a family of 4, 5, or 6 would do. But going on a road trip just takes the whole keeping your car clean to a whole new advanced level.
Oh, yes, it does.
So what are some things that are kind of this advanced level of organization for the family road trips? Because, we're coming up into the holiday season and people are going to be going over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house for the holidays. How can they keep their car from being just a complete freaking disaster area?
We took a road trip this summer and we had a couple of teenagers in the car with us. And as we've already talked about, teenagers are very interesting creatures. And they weren't always teenagers. They used to be smaller people. And we still do a lot of the same strategies. So for those of us that shop at the big box stores, the dishwasher tablets come in these plastic containers that have a lid, or the crackers came in a box that once you pulled the zip part off, it acted like a lid on the top.
Oh,
and
yeah.
What's great is when you've got trash, we line them with plastic bags and use them for the whole trip. And what was great is when you put something that's stinky in there, like my husband likes to eat bananas when he travels.
So just the lid of a cardboard box kept the banana peel smell out of the car?
It kept the banana peel at bay.
Wow.
And then
stick a newspaper down in there and you're even better.
And if you line it with a plastic bag, when you stop for gas or for a potty break, you can just take the plastic bag out and get rid of it and line it with a fresh bag and off you go.
And that's one of the things that I have found is really important, is that every time you make that fuel stop, pit stop, whatever,
throw away
the trash. Yeah, you've got to keep up with it as you go along, because if you don't, then it accumulates too much.
Yes. White Castle had a commercial years and years ago where the guy was eating the White Castle and he was throwing the paper in the back seat and he was like, "Oh yeah, this car smells great. It smells like White Castle."
People do that every day. That's one of my husband's biggest complaints when he gets in some of those, hazardous waste dumps that are the cars that come into his shop. He says, you just can't believe, people just throw stuff, and he's guilty, and I'm just going to throw him under the bus right now. But
Sorry,
he knows he does this. He'll throw some stuff, but he doesn't let it go too long. And he never does it if it's something sticky. It'll be like the empty, water bottle, the buy bottles, because we're addicted to the buys. Yeah, it'll be just an empty water bottle. It might be like a wrapper for, for something, but he never lets it go more than a couple of days because he's very fastidious about his cars as well. But I just don't understand people that can just leave that stinky stuff in their cars for days, weeks, months on end. Some of these cars look like they have literally never been cleaned. And I just can't comprehend that.
And after a road trip, can you imagine?
No, because I know my guilty pleasure when I'm driving to Atlanta or through Atlanta to Birmingham, because you can't go to Birmingham from Charlotte without having to go through Atlanta.
Nothing like sitting in traffic.
Right, exactly. So I feel so much safer on the racetrack, at 100 miles an hour with a bunch of crazy race car drivers than I do on the 75, 85 interchange going through downtown Atlanta. But my road trip treat is I stop at the Crystal. I grew up with the Crystal was the thing that we would get when we would come to Tennessee for the holidays to see my grandparents. It's just a kind of a special childhood treat and reminds me of my dad. So that's my guilty pleasure on a road trip. I stop at the Crystal, and it stinks up my car like you would not believe. Yeah. So I do throw that out at the next pit stop. But if you could put it in something
that had a lid,
never even thought about that. I wouldn't have thought that just a simple, cardboard box with a lid would contain the smells like that.
Yep.
That's
absolutely amazing. And the other thing,
I got plenty of those boxes from Sam's Club.
There you go.
Plenty.
Yeah, because we all eat the snacks and the treats, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. especially if you have kids.
My gluten-free crackers.
So when you're taking your road trip, another thing to do would be to take a lint roller, the ones that
Oh,
come
yeah.
like tape.
The cat hair roller, you mean?
Yeah, the cat hair roller, exactly. And you can use that to keep the seats clean from all the crumbs that the kids leave, because no matter what, they're leaving crumbs.
That's a good thing to leave in that shoe holder that you said to put over the back of the seat. Just leave one of those in one of those slots so that you have it in the car all the time. That's a great way to keep the carpet, everything, just keep those crumbs cleaned
kids'
up.
car seats get filled with stuff. You can even pull one of the sheets off and just push it into the corners, into the folds, and then pull it out, and it pulls out the crumbs and the Cheerios and the Fruit Loops and all of that.
Wow, that's a great idea. And that's easy. Those things are so cheap. IKEA has them, I think, for like $2.
Sometimes $1.
Sometimes $1. Yeah. So that's a great way to keep the car, just keep it clean as you go.
Exactly.
Clean as you go.
Clean as you go.
Now, not everybody, is a parent or, has to keep their car clean because they have small humans making it dirty all the time. I have a lot of clients who, like you and me, they're business owners, or they are in sales, they are in real estate.
Sure.
So they're driving a bazillion miles. They, maybe living in and out of their car with client files or, trade show stuff or samples,
paperwork. Yeah.
It is their office. It's almost like their car is their primary office. What are some ways that they can keep their car neat and organized? Because they need to be able to find stuff. Some things they might need to keep secure, and they might be hauling clients around with them. And there's no worse impression than having a customer or client get in your car and your car's a freaking mess.
Oh, yeah. Oh, pardon. Let me move all this so that you can have a place to sit, right?
Oh, yeah. Or, pardon that. Or let me get that trash out. Yeah, no.
Yeah, or the empty soda can. So in the back of the car, a great thing to do is get some of those like shoe bins that have a lid, and then you can stack them if you had to. So if you've got samples, you can put those in your trunk, and you can have them. That way, if you do drive like LeeAnn drives, they're contained and they don't spill all over the place. Especially if you get the ones with the locking handles.
I like the locking lid things.
Yeah,
those are great.
And that way if something kind of spills on its side, or even if it tumbles, it's contained.
Right, because even just kind of the normal Rubbermaid lids for the cheaper containers, you knock something and that thing just pops off.
It's going to pop
so
off.
easily. You need one of those locking lids.
But they make the locking ones, yeah.
Those
they
are
cost
great.
a tiny bit more, but what's great is that they hold everything. And typically those have an extra little rim on the inside, so when you stack them, they hold themselves a little bit better.
Oh, yeah, because they're designed to stack.
Exactly. So if you've got samples, say you're a medical rep, or if you've got little tiny pieces that you're bringing things, or swag, it gives you a way to stack all
I like
that.
swag.
Swag. And accordion files are good. So you can do an accordion file to put different paperwork in there. So if you've got like client intake form, or if you've got marketing pieces that go to different places, if you've got contracts that you're carrying with you that need to be filled out, you can put those in an accordion, but have a lid that comes over the top. And a lot of those have like a little rubber band elastic thing with the little circles.
Yeah, or they have the little just locking lid. I know I have
like
one
a
that
magnet
does.
or something.
Yeah.
And again, those fit in a milk crate.
Oh, okay.
So you can.
Everything seems to fit in a milk crate.
A milk crate is awesome.
Nowadays, so many people in business, we have everything is electronic, and it's replaced a lot of those file folders and the paperwork with tablets and things like that, which is great. But not everybody has gotten to that level of technology. So it's good to keep that stuff. If you do still have papers, keep it all organized and keep it locked closed. So it does not take remotely driving like me for something to easily tip over and go spilling everywhere.
I think the contents of my purse have spent more time on the front seat of the driver's floor of my car than they have in my purse in my car.
Well, and that's one of my biggest complaints is almost no car has a solution for a woman's purse. Now, I have seen a few things that have some hooks. And that's great if you have a little purse, but who has a little purse anymore? I mean, you have a suitcase like I do,
yeah,
and it's really, there's not a cubby that it fits in the car because our bags are too big. So what I do, because, nobody is brave enough to ride with me, so I'm usually alone in my car, I actually strap my purse into the passenger seat with the seatbelt and cinch it up tight.
That is really
just
smart.
like a passenger, because that's the only way to keep my purse from going flying everywhere. The minute you hit the brakes, that thing is flying out of the seat and going all over the place. So just
that's not
use your
safe.
seatbelt. It's not safe. Not at all.
Then you've got all kinds of, and then what's the first thing that you do is you go to lean over to get that, and now you're not paying attention to your driving.
Now you've taken your hand off of the wheel. Exactly. Yep. So even something as simple as seat belting in your purse or anything else you carry.
And that was one of the other things I loved about my 2010 CRV. Was there was a space on the floor between the gear shift and where the console started that was a perfect place to put my purse, and it kept the purse from shifting. It never moved.
And that's great. You just have to make sure if you do have a space like that, that it is secure. You can somehow kind of lock it into place because you've got the forward and backward action of, accelerating. When you accelerate, all the weight goes, to the back of the car. When you hit the brakes, everything flies to the front of the car. All the weight shifts to the front. These are things that we teach in driving school. But that's what happens to all the crap in your car.
Yes.
When you accelerate, it goes flying backwards. When you slam on the brakes, or even if you just hit the brakes gently to come up to a stop sign or a traffic light, that is enough, shift in the inertia for everything to go flying forward.
Yep.
So you don't have to drive like me. Though I have to tell you a quick story. I was going to Atlanta for a conference a few years ago, and a woman that I knew from networking, she was going to the same conference. So she just rode with me so that we saved on gas. And I went over to her house to pick her up. I already had my little suitcase in the back of Maggie. And so we got her bags, and I folded the seats down, and I was putting her luggage in there. And I was taking my bungee cords, and I was running the bungee cords through all the handles, and I was locking everything down tight so everything was really secure. And she's looking at me kind of like, what are you doing? And finally she's like, why are you strapping everything down? And I said, oh, don't worry. It'll all make sense once we get going. And of course, as soon as we pulled out of her neighborhood, she realized why I had bungeed everything down.
And she was thankful for seatbelts.
She was very thankful for seatbelts. And fortunately, she was a really good sport. She trusted my driving. So bungee cords are a good thing, but it doesn't take much for things to go flying around your car. And when they're flying around the car, they become projectiles. They become things that can get stuck under your feet, stuck under your pedals, and it's very dangerous. That's why at the racetrack, even when we do little autocrosses in the parking lot, you have to clear everything out of your car. You can't even have floor mats.
Wow.
That's how dangerous everything is.
It makes sense.
So keeping everything organized, contained, and strapped down is definitely the safest way to go. And it'll also just make your life so much easier. So your car is just not this junk drawer.
And easy to find what you're looking for when you need it.
Especially for business people, or busy parents. Where did they put that sippy cup or whatever it is you parent people do to keep your children entertained in the car? These are things I don't know. Well, this has been a great discussion. You have given me some great ideas. I'm going to go find every piece of newspaper I have and start wadding it up and stuffing it in things to get rid of smells. If people would like some help in figuring out either how to organize their car or how to organize that junk drawer or the junk room in their house, their garage, how can they get a hold of you, LeeAnn?
Well, they can find us online at theclutterconsultant.com. They can find us on Facebook at The Clutter Consultant, or they can give us a call at 704-964-2428.
People, I hope this has been really helpful for you. I hope you will take the opportunity to make sure that your car stays clean and organized, because it will be so much safer. And trust me, your mechanic will also thank you. Drive safely, everyone. Until next time.
The Straight Shift Podcast is copyright LeeAnn Shattuck, the Car Chick, 2017. All views expressed by guest and or co-hosts are those of the guest and or co-hosts, and not necessarily those of LeeAnn Shattuck or the Car Chick.